Remember how you loved the stories at bedtime about princesses and fairy godmothers? Well, you may want to hold on tighter to your teddy bear and keep that nightlight on, because these are not your mother's bedtime stories.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Not Your Mother's Bedtime Story. We are a group of three sisters who were raised on horror by our mother. We are excited to share the stories that we've heard over the years from friends and family that may or may not have kept us up at night. But first, we wanted to introduce ourselves and explain the impact that horror has had on us. Colleen, since you're the oldest, I'll let you start.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm the oldest of the three sisters. And yes, as Chrissy mentioned, we definitely were raised on horror. If you would go to our local video store, and that's back in the day when they had video stores, we probably had watched every single horror genre movie that they had to offer, while other mothers might have steered their kids away for fear that they wouldn't have trouble sleeping. Our mom encouraged it, and also her sisters also encouraged it as well and passed on to their children.
Well, I'm Chrissy, and I am the middle daughter. And like Colleen said, we were definitely raised on horror. I remember going to the library and running. I think we checked out every single ghost story book in the library at the time. And we would memorize those stories. I remember so much where at recess, I would walk around with the girls around the playground, and I would tell them stories. I remember there was one poor girl, poor Heather. I don't know whatever happened to her, but she got such bad nightmares that her mom said she couldn't listen to me anymore. And I'm like, I can't tell you stories anymore, Heather. And she's like, I won't tell her. I promise. Just tell me more ghost stories. So I was definitely spreading the ghost story love from a young age. Probably my best memory, though, is when we rented for my 10th birthday party the movie The Changeling. Not the Angelina Jolie Changeling, but the George C. Scott Changeling. And I still remember the screams echoing from the basement as the, spoiler alert, wheelchair chased George C. Scott. Or actually, it wasn't George C. Scott. It was the woman in the movie down the stairs. So really good movie if you can find it still. But we were definitely taught from a young age that horror was the best genre. What do you think, Cheri?
Yeah, I think I have The Changeling on VHS still. So if anybody still has a VHS player, I have it. So I'm Cheri. I'm the youngest of the sisters, and also the funniest and the best looking.
Hey,
and she also drinks the most.
And so True.
Which makes her even funnier.
Which makes me even funnier. So I can remember. So watching Poltergeist, I think when I was Carol Ann's age, watching that movie, and I actually kind of looked like Carol Ann when I was that age. I had stick straight blonde hair, and and to this day, just like Chrissy and Colleen said, like, we've passed it down, our mom passed it down, our aunts passed it down to their kids, I've passed it down to my kids. So they've also watched the new Poltergeist with Sam Rockwell, and they've seen the original as well, and they have their opinions on it. And I think Chrissy even bought my son a shirt with cats with the villains from scary movies on it. I mean, it's just, this is what we do, this is what we like, and this is who we are. So hope y'all enjoy it. Good times.
And I guess I'm the mom, right? I'm the mom, Karen, and I guess I started this whole thing. But growing up, we used to love like Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy and all those stories. And our cousins would come out, and they couldn't stand to watch them, and they would hide behind the couch because they couldn't stand to watch these movies. And we were always just so into them. And I says, we love the ghost stories and Attack of the Crab Monsters. And it was just, we were always into something like that. As my sister will attest to, and it's
definitely.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, my parents were not so much, but just for some reason we were just kind of into anything that was weird and supernatural, and it came from when we were very young. So I'm sorry, guys, if I pass that on to you, and
Don't be sorry.
but I don't know. It's so interesting, and it is to this day. I loved it as a child, and I still do. So it was great. But
Well, so again, we wanted to share our love for horror with all of our listeners, and we hope to interview all of our friends and family along the way, because as we know, we have many friends and family with many great spooky stories. And I think what better way for our first episode to really kind of bring out the origin story. I mean, this story I've told so many people in my life, and everybody is like, really, this really happened? And so I think this is a great way to start out our first episode. So guest starring in this episode, we have our Aunt Nancy. I want to say hi, Nancy.
Hello.
And so Nancy and my mom are going to dive into probably one of the best Ouija board stories that I've ever heard. And so I'll just let you guys take it away.
Yeah, I was very young. I don't even know if I was 10 years old at the time. But yeah, this is Aunt Nancy and Sister Nancy to Karen, and we grew up on a farm, and we had a Ouija board. So my older siblings and I would play it, but for some reason, when I played it with Karen, the Ouija board moved differently. And one night, we were home alone at the farm. I think our brother was away at college. Our sister was babysitting at a farmhouse down the road. We did live in a farmhouse that was at least a quarter of a mile from the road, let alone at least that far from neighbors. And it was nighttime. And gee, what do kids do when they're home alone? Play the Ouija board, right? Well, we did. And we asked it a lot of silly questions. And all of a sudden, it started moving. And we were barely touching the planchette. It really started moving. And all of a sudden, it started forming like a figure 8, which we have since figured out is more like an infinity sign. And it started going real fast. And we asked it, what is this? What does this mean? And I do recall it spelled out beware. And probably one of the scariest things that ever happened to me at that time was, at that point, 3 loud raps hit the side of our house. My sister, 4.5 years older than me, Karen, I think we both screamed and threw the board and ran out of the room and went and called our sister, who laughed at us for
it was
some
terrifying.
reason.
Yeah,
We
right.
were terrified, yeah. But
Yeah,
my
she
sister, babysitting down the road, she laughed at us, told us to put the Ouija board away and go turn on the TV and watch something and just try to calm down. But that was a very scary moment for us. There was nobody that lived that close to us. There were no cars that had come down the lane. Nobody could have been outside to hit that house. So whatever did, we're kind of wondering if it was contacted through the Ouija board.
Well, and I'll just chime in too. Being at the farm, it was not easy to get to. So, like Nancy said, it's a quarter-mile lane. Either way, there was
Correct.
2 points of entry, and you could hear if somebody was coming. If a car was coming down, it was gravel, so you could hear if there was anything coming, or even if they turned off their lights. But if they had headlights on, so there's no way that it could just be a random person pulling up, coming up. It was completely remote and makes it all the more scary.
Well, didn't you guys have Leroy come out too and check it out?
I I don't recall having
I
Uncle
don't think
Leroy come.
I don't think we did that night. No, I don't think we did that night, but we just called well,
Okay,
well,
so should we fast forward to the next episode?
to the next episode that happened years later. So, and that was we were doing the week.
How many years?
Oh boy, I think I was 20 years old the next time. So probably 10 years
So you
later.
hadn't played the Ouija board in 10 years?
Oh, we
you
did. We did. And it gave us up. Geez, it even told us who killed Jimmy Hoffa and where he was buried, But it said in a field. And it also said that Amelia Earhart was laying behind the rocks, It gave us all sorts of weird answers and things, but it had an answer for everything.
Right.
So didn't you guys too ask why it works so well for you guys?
Oh, we did. Yeah. Like I said, all of us would play with it, but it just worked best with Karen and me.
Right.
And I believe I was 10 at the time because I was in 5th grade, and one of my fellow students had accidentally hung himself. And so we played the board and we asked, well, how come it is working for her and me and not anybody else? And it spelled out the response in a very eerie message. It said that we had a pier in hell watching over us. And I was,
just got the shivers.
At 10 years old, I thought a pier was a dock out into a water, area. I didn't even realize, and Karen even had to explain to me what a pier actually was. And
right.
all I could think of was, well, geez, what pier in hell would be watching over us, except for maybe someone who had killed themselves. That's how my mind was thinking at the time. But yeah.
But we were from a very religious family, and we were Catholics, it was just like there was no devil worshiping or anything, nothing dark. Nothing dark in our, it's like, yeah, we liked ghost stories and stuff, but there was no devil or, so we were very, it was just an exploration, into
and
the occult a little bit, but for fun. Right. It was nothing that we were going to take serious, and then the second happening, that was years later, and basically had the same result, which, Nancy, what was the question we asked it years later? Because Colleen was small.
I was going to go see a medium with my friends. And again, just for fun, something that 20-year-olds do. And we asked the Ouija board about the medium. And it quickly spelled out, she is a fake. And we looked at each other and we asked it, well, if she's a fake, what's her source? Where's she getting her answers? And again, 10 years later, bam, 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 this hit the front door. And I believe, Colleen, you were a child in the room.
I was 5, so this would have put it about 1978 at the time. So, and I remember hearing it and running out of the room screaming, hearing the rap on the door.
Yeah, and it was a distinct 3 loud raps. So again, we all screamed, went out of the room. I said to Karen, we need to go ask what hit the house. So we, the two of us, I don't remember if Colleen followed, but we went back in the room and we picked up the board and asked what hit the house. And it slowly spelled out your fear.
I
know. And
your fear.
That was a creepy answer.
Oh man, major goosebumps over here.
But again, we looked outside, and actually we had a dog, and he was running away from the house because we looked outside. We thought somebody's playing a trick. Turned on the porch light, looked outside. The dog's running away from the house with his tail between his legs.
That's
like
a huge
he's
indicator.
so frightened, because right. And the dog was scared. We were scared, and it was like, okay. what was it? What was it? So our fear. Our fear. Our fear.
What was it?
Something
Exactly.
powerful
You know,
enough
is
to
it
hit
the
the
power of
side
your
or
fear
the
to be
front
able to
door of a
do that,
house
which
3 times. Not once,
something
not twice,
powerful
3
enough
times.
to actually hit the
And
side of a
I
farmhouse?
remember
Yes.
you guys were sitting on the floor
Yeah.
playing it, and I think
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch watching you guys, and I remember the board going flying, you
Yes.
guys crawling on your hands and knees. I bolt.
Well, I think Karen was pregnant, I think, and she couldn't get to her
Well, if it was
knees
78, Chrissy would
feet
have been
fast
born
enough,
too then.
but boy, I was out of there.
Yeah, Chrissy was. I was pregnant
She
with
was probably
Jay.
pregnant with Jay.
And by the way, we have
Yeah,
a
I
brother
think
that
she
fits
was
in
pregnant
between
with
us
Jay.
too, in case you're all wondering where that goes.
But he does not do paranormal podcasts. He did not. He's more logical.
So, one of the things I do believe that whatever it was that hit the house was trying to prevent me from doing was going to see the medium. Because when I finally did go with my friends, and again, it was all in good fun. It's not like we, really thought we were going to hear anything astounding. I asked her about the Ouija board. And I explained the goings on and everything. And when I told her what it had said to us when I was 10 years old, she really kind of started rocking in her seat and said that really bothered her. That I had a ruler in hell or something like that, and that I should what we needed to do was to break the Ouija board up into pieces where it could not be reassembled and burn it, and to pray for my soul. Oh my gosh. But so I explained this to my mother, and she did that. I was away at work, and she broke the board up, and she went outside to burn it. We had a burn barrel. We lived in the country, and ashes arose from the burn barrel, and they floated up and landed on top of our garage / machine shed. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's going to burn it down. And then all of a sudden, a gust of wind comes up and blows them out. And that was that. So goodbye, Ouija board. I've never played it since.
I don't blame you.
I have not either. I have not either.
And I don't believe
we played it so much as
pretty
kids,
much ended
though.
my.
I mean, you guys
yeah,
watched over us as we played it as kids. We did it all the time.
Well, my mom wouldn't buy me one, so we had to try to make our own first.
That's true. I bought mine with my own money at Kmart. Is there even still Kmart's? I don't even know if there's any Kmart. But
I don't know. Well, I remember playing with yours, Colleen, and I remember playing with you, Cheri. And now I think, and I like, there's no way I would let my own children bring a Ouija board into my house. I don't know. I just really think they're portals to something you just don't want to open.
Just something. Yeah, there's something out there.
But Nancy, you said that Lauren did play. She did play it at one time, and she contacted a spirit, possibly.
She did. She played with some friends whose young brother had passed away when he was 15 years old. And so basically, I think they had his sister leave the room or whatever, and they asked the board questions, and it was giving correct answers. So I'm not sure, if they really got a hold of her brother or something else. That was one thing the medium told me too, was you're probably not speaking to who you're asking to speak to, and you don't want to go there. She said there's like a lot of half spirits, and I don't know if she means things that were never human or whatever, but she said that they will lie, they will give you any answers they want until they can get you, possess you, whatever.
Right.
Well, they always say never play by yourself too.
And never, yeah. And we were asked if we had said goodbye on the Ouija board, and it's like, no, we flipped them.
And I was like, no.
We kind of forgot that part.
Yeah, we did. We were terrified, just so terrified. It was like, God.
That was creepy. It's super
So,
creepy.
and the infinity sign, Chrissy, you said it means something dark is trying to come through the board.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Along in our plan for these episodes going forward is to pull a few more similar stories. And so, of course, where does one go to find similar stories but Reddit? And I found a lot of interesting Ouija board stories, a lot similar to yours and Nancy's. Where things are actually manifesting. And one story that I have, she starts out, this is from on Reddit, and she says, one time at band camp, a girl brought her authentic Ouija board made out of maple straight from Salem. Ironically, she was very Catholic, like us, but she loved her board, and it was very interesting few nights in the dorm with it. Says, I think the second night we were playing with it, and it was going slow, not much movement. I had my hand off the planchette because I still wasn't sure about the thing. Suddenly, it was like cold fingers grabbed into my shoulders ever so slightly, and this terrible feeling in the back of my mind just came to the surface. I looked to the board, and the planchette started moving in a demonic pattern. She says, I think figure eights this time. I looked at the girl and said, I have a bad feeling about that, in time for her to realize what was happening. She stopped the movement and bid the spirit goodbye. In that moment, the icy grip loosened and all was well. Everyone was like, whoa, when the girl explained that the figure eight meant that something was trying to get out of the board. This is common lore that goes with Ouija usage. At a later time, we were playing in someone else's room, and we asked for the name of whoever we were talking to. Zelda AMN came through. We got to talking to her, and she was a young widow whose husband died in the war. She died at age 80. I remember the name, and a few years later on a trip to Salem, where the board was made, we went past some old houses with historical plaques that said the original owners and the year they were built. On one of those houses, there was the name Z. Amnazi. I got all excited. That was really cool, and I won't forget that coincidence. So again, in this case, the figure eight, which could be very well applied to yours, means that something was trying to get out of the board. Eek.
Well, and maybe it did. Something wrapped on the side of the house.
Maybe it did.
Well, and didn't you say it spelled out beware when you were playing? Yeah.
It did.
It
It
did.
spelled out beware.
It did. Before the wraps, right. And
yeah, just before the wraps.
Oh, the second time, wasn't it like erratically doing the figure eight symbol before the wrap on the door? Wasn't it like completely like moving really, really, really fast?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
think
It was doing the same thing. Yep. He was doing the same figure eight before the wraps. I don't know how to, like Nancy said, she did end up going to the medium, and the medium says, I have seen a dark presence at your home.
Yeah, I asked her if she saw evil there, and she goes, I've seen it. She goes, it's been there. I don't see it now, but I believe it's been there. And yeah, I think that was when she told me to go home and pray for my soul, which I have every day. But
So that's weird though, Nancy. Like, why? Okay, so somebody apparently in hell is looking over you. Why should you have to? I mean, what does that have to do with you? That's weird.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good question, because like I said, when it was explained to me what a pier was, and why would I have a ruler in hell? I was never raised that way. I've never lived that way. So I'm not quite sure what that means. Either that it was a wannabe ruler. I'm not really sure. And again, don't want to ask the Ouija board.
I want to find out.
Right.
I don't want to find out. No.
What did we conjure up? We have no idea. So I know there's
We
a
have no
Zozo.
idea. And I'm pretty sure we don't want to meet it. Yeah.
And no. So haven't played it since. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I think there is something special about those ages, especially like the preteen ages and the energy created with them. And Karen being probably only 14 or so at the first time, and I think it did have something to do with that. And I don't know if because I know when they talk about a lot of poltergeist activity and everything, it's somebody right around preteen ages or early teens that there's an energy created.
Right. And that happened to you, Chrissy. Right. I don't want to stray from the subject, but that did happen to you, Chrissy. Right.
Yeah, maybe we'll save that for another episode. But yeah,
stay
definitely
tuned.
I think there's
Okay.
definitely a preloading. I think there is definitely, you're right. Like there's a certain energy around adolescence that, definitely gets fed on, and you're at that age too, like you guys said, you're not, enough, but yet you're naive enough, and it will tell you, the board and those spirits can tell you what you want to hear. And, if you want to hear certain things, pretend to be certain things just so you'll keep playing and keep getting roped in, which
Exactly.
definitely a cautionary tale for
Right.
Ouija board users for sure.
It keeps you
Yes,
engaged.
that's what the medium said. She goes, it'll tell you anything you want to hear until it gets you. And then you're
Right.
it's whatever it is.
Yeah, and we can't tell you not to do it. We can advise you against it, but of course,
Strongly advise against it, but
And tell us your stories
yeah,
if you do.
absolutely. But one thing we can say is never leave the planchette on the board and walk away. That is the only and best advice I can give anyone, because
Actually, Cheri, that's a great segue into my next Reddit story. So this user did not leave their planchette off the board. So here's an interesting one. Are you ready? So this comes from mtempissmith on Reddit. And he or she says, when I was about 16, I found an old school Ouija board at the thrift store. It was made of real wood, not paper like they are now. It was thin, but still wood. Balsa, I think. I was intrigued with it, so I took it home. Me and a gal pal were playing with it, but nothing was happening, so we just gave up, left it on the bed, and went out for snacks. There was no window open, no random draft, no AC on at the time, and no fan. Nothing that could have caused it. When we came back with snacks and pop, that board was working on its own. The planchette was traveling all over the board, and the word it was spelling out was fall. For a minute, we just stood there and watched it spelling out the word several times. Then my friend scooped it up and broke it. We then covered it with salt and got rid of it.
Wait. Time out. Did you just say they bought it at a thrift store? Would you buy a Ouija board at a thrift store?
that's the best place to buy one.
Who knows where that's been and what it's conjured?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Get that with your pair of jeans and maybe some old measuring cups.
Geez, did Mom really burn that one, Nancy?
Jeepers.
This one was balsa wood, though. That's pretty cool, actually.
How would you know
but
that?
Still,
That's intriguing.
I don't know. Creepy. And yeah, leaving the planchette on the board and the planchette moving all by
First,
itself.
no. Come on, folks. If you're gonna play it, let's be smart here.
Well, they went to the thrift shop.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
think Nancy.
They bought the
our
Ouija board at
planchette
the
went
thrift shop.
flying
They're
across
not.
the room.
They weren't smart in the
Jeepers.
beginning.
They weren't smart in the first place. No.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a creepy one. And the foul word, just spelling it
What
over and
was it?
over. Can you imagine just sitting there and coming back with your snacks and pop and the planchette's moving all around by itself?
What were those snacks?
Yee!
Yeah.
I don't know.
What were the snacks?
They covered
What
it
were
with
the
salt, so maybe with some
snacks?
popcorn. And that's another thing too. I mean, so May Richards said to burn the board. They
Yes.
covered it with salt. I mean, what is the proper way to get rid of a Ouija board?
Well, and it was funny that she said it needs to be broken up into pieces that it cannot be put back together and then burned. So it was kind of distinct instructions. So I'm not, she was a very interesting woman, no longer with us, I'm sure, but very interesting woman, was really spot on for a lot of things that she had said, but actually talking about that seemed to make her almost nervous. Yeah, she was a little anxious. She kind of started rocking in her seat. She just shook her head and she said, you don't want any part of that. Break it up, burn it, get rid of it.
So how did Grandma break it up? Did she cut it?
You know what? I am not sure. I'm sure she didn't take the time to break it up into
probably
little bitty
didn't,
pieces,
right.
but I think she probably broke it in half and maybe one more time and then burned it. I'm not sure if that would burn or not, but evidently it was enough to lift a whole set of ashes up onto the building. But luckily, whether it was a nice breeze or a good spirit that blew them out.
I'm gonna go with good spirit.
I would too.
We can only
Your
hope,
prayers for
right?
your soul worked, Nancy.
We can only hope. Like I said, I pray for it every day since.
I have one more story, and I've included it. I don't know if Lauren is still hanging out because it's definitely a good Lauren story.
She's here.
So Lauren is our cousin, Nancy's daughter, and Lauren has a history with dolls, or actually a fear of dolls. So Lauren, I have for you a doll Ouija board story.
Excellent.
So here's a story on a Reddit thread asking for scary paranormal encounters. User Jake Nichols recounted how he and his cousin and their family were using a Ouija board at home. Before they started, they removed a large, creepy porcelain doll from the same basement and took it to another room, placing it face down. Then the board listed a string of numbers that Jake's cousin recognized as his social security number, which no one at the table knew. The spirit was asked to prove itself, and the board spelled out DOLL.
Oh.
Suitably freaked, Jake and his friends rushed next door to see the doll standing upright in the middle of the room. Naturally, they burned the Ouija board and hopefully the doll too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
I think that like a lot of movies that have come to light, like, you know, after seeing Paranormal Activity and, you know, seeing more of the demonic side of the Ouija board and then The Conjuring and how they use the doll in there, I think that solidifies my fear in dolls.
I'm sure you're not alone, Lauren.
Not to mention my poor parenting and having her watch the horror movie Dolls when she was
Oh,
old.
I think we did that, Nancy.
I think
I
you
think
did.
that was our fault.
But I was there too. I could have supervised that and I encouraged it.
I'll
So
take that blame. If anybody has not seen the movie Dolls, check it out.
Yeah. And then whoever put the Barbie dolls outside the bedroom door when I woke up too.
That was your mom.
I believe that was me. Yeah. That was my work in desensitizing you, for fear of dolls, but it just worked in opposite.
We will also say that at this very farm that we've been referring to all night, there were several creepy dolls that lived there. Some of them had eyes half open and missing fingers. You know, the exact thing you want to place in the bed with your child. Excellent.
Which we did actually leave one or two of them
In the attic for the new owner.
Yep. They found him too, and he just
What
about
is
had a
wrong
heart
with us?
attack.
Yep.
Luckily, they're friends of ours.
Are they still?
Yeah, that was a nice welcome home gift for them. And I would like to say they have not experienced any creepy things in there, though. So
We took all the creepy with us. Yeah.
Yeah, we took all the creepy things with us, except for we left a couple of the dolls. So.
Oh, they're welcome.
So what is our cautionary tale here? A, don't play with Ouija boards. B, if you do, let us know about it.
That's right.
And C, always say goodbye.
And don't leave the planchette on the board.
And don't lead the planchette.
Don't
Ours
leave the
went
planchette
halfway
on
across the
board.
living room.
Awesome.
Words to remember. Yes.
Thank you all. This has been really fun and given some good advice to the youths about not playing with Ouija boards. And if you do it responsibly.
Exactly. They should come with a warning.
So well, thank you, Nancy. This was a good,
you bet.
a good
This
first
was fun.
origin story for us. And as we still get going, we hope to maybe bring you back and tell some more creepy things, because you had some creepy things happen to you in your one of your homes that you lived in.
My previous house. Yes.
Yeah. So
that could be another time.
Yes, save those for another time, because as we keep going and as we get closer to Halloween, we will definitely need some more stories from friends and family. And yes, stay tuned. But for now, take it away, Mom.
Thank you for listening, and remember to keep that night light on. Good night, sweet dreams.
If you have a story to share, please send it to notyourmothersbedtimestory@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at notyourmothersbedtimestory. And please help us grow by following us on your favorite podcast platform, leaving us a positive review, and telling a friend. Thank you for your support.